Hi everybody. So the first thing we're going to review is the block method of multiplying multi-digits. So, excuse my handwriting. There we go. Okay, so remember that this is one strategy that you can use, but if it doesn't work for you, you don't have to use it, okay? It's just one example of a strategy to use. So if our question is 234 times 123, what do we have as an answer? So using the block method, what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to set up a block, right? With one value on the side just erase that. And the second value on the top. Okay, so second thing I want to make sure I remember is that I am using expanded notation. Okay, so you really need to know your place values. So if you have any trouble with those, please make sure that you're using a place value chart to help you. Okay, so I'll put that here. So place value chart. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up this sideways. Oh, that's kind of sad looking. Let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to set up like a sideways T. So here, okay. So on the top, it doesn't matter which number I put on the top or which one I put on the side with multiplying because I'm allowed to switch them. Okay, so for the first one up here, I'm going to go ahead and put the 234. So my 2 is in the hundreds place value, so I'm going to make this 200. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw a line. My next value is 3, and it's in the tens place, so I have 30. And then I'm going to draw a line. And then I have 4. 4 is in the ones place value, so it's just 4. Okay? Now, down the side, I'm going to go ahead and expand out 123. So first number is 100, because I have 100. So put that here. And then I make my line across. Okay, the 2 is in the tens place value, so this would become 20. And I need a little bit longer of a line, so I'm just going to go ahead and make that. And then I have 3, which is simply 3 because it is in the ones place value. Okay, so now I just put the multiplication sign there just to remind me. So now if you remember and can apply the trick that I taught you, which is when multiplying by zeros, you can multiply the main values, right? And add the zeros at the end. Okay, so that will make a little bit more sense once we actually put in a couple of answers, all right? So for example, here I have 200 times 100. Well, that's really a lot to think about if I wanted to do this mentally. However, thinking of the trick, which is what I have here in step number 3, is really the two numbers I have to really think about in terms of multiplying is 2 times 1. That I can do. 2 times 1 is 2, right? So now the trick here is now, and it only works, remember, if there are zeros at the end, okay? Doesn't work if there's other numbers at the end, okay? So now what I do is I have to count between the two numbers I'm dealing with. How many zeros do I have altogether? So I have 2 here, 2 zeros, and I have 2 zeros here. So altogether I have 4 zeros. So in my answer box, I need to make sure I have 4 zeros. So I'm going to add 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's my answer for that multiplication piece. So now I'm going to move and I'm going to go 100 times 30. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the first number in the row and I do it to each number. Okay, and then you move down and do the second to each number within each column. All right, so 100 times 30. Really, I'm dealing with just a 3 and a 1. 3 times 1 is 3. And I have 1, 2, 3 zeros. So I'm going to make sure I add 3 zeros. And then I move on to my next multiplication piece, which is 100 times 4, which really is just 4 times 1. So which is 4. And not to forget, I have 2 zeros. I don't have any here to have to deal with, so I have 2 zeros. Okay, moving on to the next line, 200 times 20. So really I'm dealing with 2 times 2, which is 4. And then I have 1, 2, 3 zeros. So I make sure I put those in. Again, move next to the next one. 30 times 20, which is really just 3 times 2, which is 6. And I have how many zeros? 1, 2. So I add the 2 to my answer. And then lastly, 4 times 20, which is really just 4 times 2, which is 8. And don't forget, I have 1 0 here. Got to deal with that. Add that 0 to the end. My last row, I have just single digits, no zeros to have to deal with. So I'm just going to plug in the answers. Well, that's just the last one, actually. So 3 times 200. 3 times 2 is 6. But I have 2 zeros here, so I add 2 zeros. 3 times 30. 3 times 3 is 9, plus the 0. And 4 times 3 is 12. Okay. So now I filled in all my boxes. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to take all of these values that I have just found, okay, and I'm going to add them together. Okay, so that is your fourth step, is to add your block values together. Okay, and I would recommend lining them up biggest to smallest, simply because it's easier to see that way. Okay, so my largest number is 20,000. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in. So 20,000. Okay, and if I want to, I can go ahead and just cross these off as I write them in. Then I have 4,000. So what's important here is that you line them up based on their place value. Okay, this is where place value again comes in. It's very important. Here I have 3,000. Okay, and then I have 600, 600, 400. So I'm going to go ahead and put those. 600. Oops, I made a mistake. Erase. So good thing I caught that because it's definitely not 6,000. 600. Okay, so 600, 600, 400. Cross those out. 90 and 12. Okay, so now all I have to do is add. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this up. So all these zeros with 2 makes 2. All these zeros, 9 and 1, makes 10. So I'm going to put a 0, carry my 1. And then I have 1 plus 6 makes 7. 7 plus 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 plus 4, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I have a 7 here. Carry my 1. Okay. 1 plus 4 gives me 5. 5 plus 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have an 8 here. And then there's nothing here under this 2. So guess what? It's just 2. All right. And then after 3, counting from right to left is 1, 2, 3, comma. So my complete answer would be 28,702. And that would be how I use the block method. All right.